Hello and welcome to another episode of Modern Infrastructure Wednesday. I'm your host, Lee Zen, and today we'll be talking about a topic near and dear to my heart, site availability with DNS Failover. It's a long mouthful, but it's really quite a simple concept. We want to be able to have our site to have a failover option, ideally, in the worst case, a static website to at least display some information in case something goes wrong with our website, in case something goes wrong with our main system. So what we'll be covering is building that static website, that failover site, and then how to set that up with DNS Failover. Like I said, this topic is really near and dear to my heart since I was actually on the team at AWS that originally helped build this feature. So let's get into it. We're going to start here with some pre-built stuff, so we can kind of skip through some things. We get an AMI from AWS. We choose a size, and then we create a security group to allow ingress on port 80. Set up a super simple web server here, spin up an instance, and we create that instance, create a health check for it, and then set up a Route 53 record to point a domain name at that IP. So basically, all we've done so far is create this instance, running this very simple startup script, and then we have our health check checking that IP, and then we have a DNS record pointing at that IP. And so at the end of it all, we should be able to curl this record and get back the server response. So we can do curl failover.pulumi.tv, and we get hello world as we expect. So now let's go ahead and set up our failover site. And to do that, we first create a S3 website, and we'll do that with an alias record. So first, let's create the site. So we'll go up here and do it, and we'll say this is the failover S3 site. Bucket, and we'll make a AWS S3 bucket, and we'll call this like failover bucket, and let's check what we need here actually. So if we go to the docs, go to S3 and bucket, so we can see, I'm trying to remember all the right arguments. So we actually have to name it. Right, so we need to name it the same thing as our site because that is what helps with the routing. So we'll call it failover.pulumi.tv. And if I recall correctly, there's something in here like a website domain, and so we need this as well. And the endpoint, which is going to be index.html. And we're also going to stick, obviously, an object in there for index.html. So let's try that. Actually, sorry, we don't need this. That's an output. Sorry, I take that back. So I think we should just need these things, if I recall correctly. Yeah, okay, so let's try this. So we'll run Pulumi up. Oh, and I forgot to create the site. Sorry, let me do that real quick too. So let me touch index.html, and we have to create this bucket object. So we'll call this the index object. And we'll just double check the stuff there. And so here it's the bucket we have to put it in, and then the content. In our case, we can actually just use, I believe the we can actually just point to a source, and this could be a Pulumi object. So we'll do that. So here it's going to be bucket is failover s3 bucket dot id. I believe. Let's take a look at the. It's the name, so it's actually the name. And then we can give it the source, and that's going to be a Pulumi file asset, and it's going to be index.html. Okay, and then we're going to edit index.html, and we're just going to put some things super simple in there. We'll just have, HTML, body. Oh no. Right, because this is the failover site, so it's not good if we ended up there somehow. So let's Pulumi up that. Oops. There's no attribute name. I believe it's bucket name. No? What is it called? Why is my memory so bad? Oh, it's just bucket. Okay. Silly me. Oh, and I had it right here. So yes, I could have just done that. Okay, so now we have our object there, and we can actually test to see if that works. We can actually curl website. Let's see. I have to remember the website S3 website URL. So website endpoints. So it's bucket name S3 website region. Okay, so let's try this. So it's failover.pulumi.tv S3 website US West 2 Amazon AWS.com. Oh, no website configuration. Okay, so I think I actually did need the additional thing here. Website. What was the configuration? Website domain. Website. Okay. This is what I was missing. I forgot this. Website. So I actually don't need any. This is actually wrong. This is the out. So I need this website, and then I need the index document. Is this right? Let's see. What does it not like about this? Oh. And this is. This is this. Oh, what am I? I'm in Python. I keep thinking I'm in Node when obviously I'm not. So that is why. Okay, so now we have that. That's the key, and then we have the value. So let's try this. So that should change our bucket configuration. You can see we add the website. So yes. Okay, so now that we've done that, we can actually now do this. Oops. Oh, and right. So now it's configured, but we didn't have this this bucket object set for public read. Nor do we have this site set for public read. So let's do that. So kind of like so ACL, right? So we should set that to public read. If I recall correctly, that's the correct term. And then also on this, we want to set the object ACL. And that also you can see public read. Okay. Now let's try that. Oh, and the key does not exist. Oh, because I did not give this a, I didn't give it a name. So you can see we actually need to give it a key. Otherwise, it's not going to put it in the right place. So let's do that. Okay. Sorry, a little bit of bumbling here, but I think we'll have this static site up and running in no time now. So we'll place this object, put it in the right place. And now when we query this record, oh no, okay, so that's now we're good. So now we have our two things set up. We have both we can curl failover.pulumi.tv. That gives us hello world, and we can also have the setup. So now what we have to do is configure this bucket to be our failover option for this record. So that's actually very easy to do. We can create, let's rename this variable to server record, and we'll also create a failover record. We'll call this the secondary record. Actually, let's be consistent. Let's call this primary. This is secondary, and this will also be a Route 53 record, but this will be our failover target, or let's call it the S3 record. And the name is the same, so you can have multiple records with the same name. And the records here, so you can see we can set a primary record, records. And here we're going to have an alias. So if we go back and look at our resource records, we can look at how we set up an alias. And we're going to do that by actually just having aliases instead of record. And so we'll do aliases. And you can see here, we'll just have this one target for this thing, and it's going to be the name and the zone ID. And so this comes from actually our bucket. So this is going to be the failover S3 bucket here. And that's where we're actually going to get the website domain. You can see this is used to create RD3 records. So it's website domain. And then the zone, here we need to have the zone ID. Is the same thing, but in this case it's the zone hosted zone ID. So we'll use that. Okay, and then the other thing we need to do is actually set these up to be primary, secondary. So right now they don't have any routing policies attached to them, and so we want to have a routing policy so we can have both these records. And so if we go back to resource record, there's these routing policy things we can do. And so if we take a look at this, we want a failover routing policy, and so we'll set that up. And it's actually very simple, it's just a primary or secondary policy. So and the type is simply primary, and then we can copy this and paste it here, and here this is the secondary. Okay, so let me run Pulumi up here. So this is going to update our website configuration, assuming I got everything right, and you can see now we have two records. Oh, missing property type. Did I? Oh, here, yes, I need a record type. This is an A alias, of course. The other thing I forgot to do, actually, I just realized, is this has no health check associated with it, so I need to also do that. So you can see we can associate a health check ID. So this is the health check ID, and that's actually equal to, we created a health check earlier up here, HC. Okay, so now we can do this. Oh, and I'm missing, silly me, I'm missing zone ID in this guy. Okay. So I think hopefully I got all of the type errors figured out. Required, okay, right, so I need to evaluate target health setup correctly on this. And really, evaluate target health here is kind of meaningless because the S3 health is always going to be like true. Like S3 generally should not ever evaluate to false in terms of whether it's up or down, but let's just do that. And so you can see we are creating this additional alias record that we're setting here, and then we're also updating this to include a failover routing policy and a health check ID. So we created those. Oops. Oh, right, set identifiers. So, right, when you have multiple records, you need to have set identifiers. And these are just really just tags, basically, to let Route 53 differentiate between the two the two different records. So let's do that. And you might wonder, like, okay, well, it's kind of silly, like, this is already here, but the routing policy doesn't really set the set identifier. Like, the set identifier is an additional identifier on the key, effectively, for Route 53. So you can definitely blame me as one of the people who was there when we made that decision. And what did I miss this time? Error building change set. Okay, so I'll wait for this to error out. I wonder if I missed a additional parameter here. So it's a alias to S3. I have the zone ID. Set identifier secondary marked as a secondary because a non-failover R set with the same name and type already exist. That's odd. I wonder if it's actually pretty interesting. So I think this was like an ordering issue where because I was trying to update an existing record, I updated this, which was not set as primary yet. So it tried to create this one as a secondary record, but before I had the primary record. So I think if I just run Pulumi up again, this should just work, if I understood reading the error correctly. So I think it didn't like the fact that I think it tried to create this first. Before it had the other one. So I think this should just work. We're about to find out. But yeah, if I read this way, it's basically saying like the other name wasn't a failover record. So it didn't like the fact that I was trying to create a secondary without a primary first. So I should have actually, because I was making that change in the same change, like you can see this record didn't have a depends on this record. So kind of like the correct way to do this would have been to include an additional option here where I have ops, and then I would have included a depends on the other one. But okay, so we kind of went through that, and so now if we curl failover.pulumi.tv, we should still get our Hello World website because it's succeeding, and we can actually go look at our health check in the Route 53 console, and you can see it's healthy. So things are working the way we expect it to. So now let's go ahead and fail our health check. So let's maybe just turn off this security group. So let's not allow. Let's change this to like not allow ingress from port 80 to some other port. We'll just maybe we'll just I don't know, comment this out. So we just remove the security group. They're actually not sure it's gonna like that. So maybe it's actually easier to just change the security group to be from port 8080 to port 8080, and this will fail our health check, right? So let's do that. So we're gonna change the security group purposely so that we can't access the site anymore. Okay, so now let's try curling the IP directly, and you can see it's no response. It's going to time out. The reason I'm showing this first is because I'm waiting for DNS to kind of update and respond. So now if we try to curl the site again, it's timing out. It's because we had a TTL of I think 60 seconds. Oh, 5 seconds, and our health check failover was let's see, at 10 seconds. So maybe if we wait a few more seconds, let's dig this and see what we get. Okay, so now we're getting a different IP. It's a 52 address, whereas before the public IP was 34. So it tells us that we've actually failed over. So now if we do this, oh no, And so now we're actually using the S3 website bucket that we had set up earlier with our index.html file in there. And so now we're actually getting the failover response where Route 53's health check has detected that the website is unhealthy. So if we refresh this, you can see it's no longer healthy. Oh wait, why is this? It's interesting. The website is not even showing the right thing. Let me refresh this. Oh, here we go. Yeah. So unhealthy, right? So now it's unhealthy. I wonder why this refresh didn't do that. So it's unhealthy now, and so that's also why we're failing over and we're getting the site that we wanted to. So yeah, hopefully this was a cool tutorial for you. Very easy, as you can see, to set up. Just to refresh kind of what we did. Let me get rid of this stuff. We started off with a very simple website that was just an EC2 instance with the health check on it, just serving something super simple from the data. So let's put this back and see how that failover works in action. So there's with no action necessary. Let's just undo our little thing here. So let's assume the website became healthy again. We'll see how it comes back. But yeah, so we just created this instance, and then we had the health check, and then we had the record point to it. And then all we did was then we created an S3 bucket with a single index document inside it to act as our failover static website, in case things went wrong. And then when we failed the site, the health check and Route 53's failover took care of the rest, and we were able to put up our little failure message. And you can totally imagine kind of having like a stripped down version of your site that helps customers understand what's going on, or perhaps still gives them some level of functionality rather than nothing at all. So let's see if I talked long enough to have this health check refresh. Okay, it's still reporting as unhealthy. So it typically takes like 10 seconds since it has a health check interval of 10 seconds, and then it requires multiple checkers to report back as healthy. Oops, let's check this person out. So you can see now it's actually succeeding. Okay across the board. So if we refresh this, we should see this as I don't know why this UI is weird, but you can see definitely here it thinks it's healthy again. And so if we curl failover.pulumi TV once again, we're back to the hello world. All right, so yeah, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please subscribe and like the video, and we'll see you next week on Pulumi TV. Thanks for watching.